Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun tonight. Another live show with New Year's Day yesterday. We're just like, we're not going to record, do a little family time. And then we'll do a live show. So 3 live shows over the course of 7 days, Soto. New record for us.
I think we're spoiling them way too much.
We're so alive. We're like so live right now. That also means I'm day 2 into dry January. Almost 2 full days, not one drop of booze, Soto. It's getting scary. It's getting tough.
It's getting real, bro.
It's getting. I need a fix. Need a crack.
You'll be fine.
I'll make it. I'll be fine. I do it every year. Just dragging across the finish line every year. Thank you everybody for joining us. Live show is always fun. We'll get to we'll take questions and super chats along the way. So everything we're thinking about in the future, right? Who's going to be the head coach? Who's going to be the offensive coordinator? Are we going to keep Patrick Graham? Where are we going to get our quarterback? What's going to happen with Maxx? Every single thing we're wondering about kind of doesn't matter until Tom Brady decides if he's going to be the decision maker or not. Really, right? It's who's going to make these decisions? Is Telesco going to make all the decisions? Is Mark Davis going to come on high and make these decisions? Like, what's going to happen? And then Tom Brady, in his situation as a Fox broadcaster, but now minority owner of the Raiders, he can kind of pick and choose what he wants to do. He's not like a salaried president where like, hey, you're paid, you have to make these decisions. It's, I'm an owner. I can kind of breeze in and breeze out or not and go from there. So Amy Trask, who's former president at the Raiders, was on, what show was she on? Why am I already?
Rich Eisen?
Eisen. It's in my notes. I think I remember. Was on the Eisen show. And they were talking specifically about the head coach. So in just content, they're specifically talking about AP and who the head coach will be, Vrabel or AP or whatever it's going to be. But I think it speaks to Tom Brady's kind of role in the organization, at least in her opinion. Take a listen.
Okay, here's my hunch and here's my view. My view is they absolutely positively should factor in everything Brady has to say for the reasons you just said. Tom Brady, I mean, look at his resume, look at his history. The man knows how to win. So, of course, they should factor in what he has to say. But my hunch is, my view is, my belief is, however you want to call it, it'll be a collaborative decision. They will take Tom's input, of course, and they should, but they will listen to others as well. And I believe they will make a collaborative decision. I have no idea what that decision will be.
So I've been saying I think Tom Brady is going to be the czar of football. I think he'll be the dictator of the Raiders. Amy Trask thinks it'll be a collaborative effort, at least specifically with the next head coach. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's kind of a political answer from her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that you bring in a Tom Brady and you do this kind of pomp and circumstance, and this has been a long time coming. And he's going to be there. He's going to be there for a specific reason. He's not going to be a voice in the room. He's going to be the voice in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I have kind of read the tea leaves a little bit in what Mark Davis has been saying for years now. He's not his dad. He doesn't have the instinct or the scouting ability and doesn't know the X's and O's. And he wants to pull away. He's wanted to pull away from the football decisions for so long. He just hadn't found the right person to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And things happened and ended, unfortunately in the whole Gruden thing, because Gruden was the guy who made all the decisions about everything. And I think he wants to get closer to that, but he does feel like he needs to have some separation of duties. So he has a president for more of the business side. He needs a president for the football end. He has a GM. He has a head coach now. So it's like he wants to put that in place, because I think the people that are advising him on business tell him, hey, like, you've been doing these things where a lot of these lines have been blurred for a long time now. You need to have these people in position for a reason. And I don't know that Tom Brady's going to be a broadcaster for very long. I think he sees his future more in the ownership end. And I think he wants to be in the ownership end. And it's a lot more lucrative, even though he does have a lucrative contract with Fox. But this is the first step in many for him pronouns, pal, from Tom Brady to
Tommy
eventually,
B.
I think, take over.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. First off, I think Tom Brady would be more motivated to do. I mean, look, he's a 9-figure deal with Fox. Like, I get it. That's a lot of money, even for a guy who's already got 100-something plus million in the bank, right? Minus whatever Giselle has taken in the divorce. But when you're that rich, you think more legacy as opposed to just cash money. There's a lot of people with $100 million in this world. There's only 32 people ish. Right?
Only 32 majority owners.
Well, yeah. So Packers are owned by the citizens, and there's a couple families. You know what I'm getting at, right? Small handful of people.
Overblown. We could buy a half a percent of a share in the Packers.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's all kind of, but you get what I'm saying, right? There's essentially 31 owners in the NFL. And when you start thinking like as Tom Brady does, someone who's that successful, that much hardware, that much money, you start thinking more legacy than cash. Like what's going to be cooler to pass on to your son? An extra $60 million on top of the 150 he's already getting, or a piece of an NFL franchise. Like that is like tangible. Like I come from a family business. Like my grandpa bought a trucking company. My dad and my uncles run it. And like he's always dreamed of my dad's always dreamed of his nephews and his nieces and his sons and his daughters, like working at the family business and like, that was way more important to him than like handing me money or something. He's like, no, I want to like hand the family business down. I think that's a big part of the motivating factor here. And I think that's the genius that either Mark Davis formulated or stumbled on, is that you have a guy who has this much leeway in Tom Brady, this much say in the entire industry. And when a guy that's won that many Super Bowls, has that many rings, and has that much money, how do you motivate them? Legacy, something you can't just buy by writing a check, something you can't just like have
that
a contract
and power. That and power. I mean, I don't know that he had a lot of power. I know that he had prestige. Tom Brady had prestige, but he didn't really have any power as just a broadcaster.
Yeah,
I think with him being an owner and potentially in the future being in those owners meetings and stuff like that, I think the league will start looking at the Raiders a little bit different. It's not going to be just the same old, bad boy Raiders who are just doing things their own way. I think it's going to have us be looked at it in a different light.
I remember when Michael Jordan came out of retirement that last time and he went to the Wizards, and I remember analysts talking about like, okay, what actual impact will he have on the game at his age, right? And you're like, well, they'll immediately win 2 or 3 more games because in super, super tight games, the refs will be swayed because it's Jordan. And you can kind of get like just that, like not even his leadership, his still got a 3-pointer, his way he's going to bring up the next generation. He's going to be like an extra coach. Like, no, just the fact that he has sway with decision makers alone. They're like, okay, that's 2 or 3 games before we even get into the actual basketball. So think of that with Tom Brady. It's like I went on, I did Cofield's show on Monday, like I always do. And our friend Adam Hill, who's been on the show multiple times, was hosting in Cofield's Day. And he's like, well, Tom Brady, it's like, is he really going to come in and make that big a difference? Like these athletes, and now you're dealing in kind of like a white collar office setting. It's very different. Is he going to have, guys that are great athletes? They don't always make great executives. In fact, it's normally not the case. So there's exceptions, of course, but normally not the case. I'm like, him being able to just call his buddy at the front office to get something done, him being able to, in the middle of a heated, like Maxx Crosby, right? Is Maxx Crosby really all that disgruntled? Tom Brady can just call him. I'm not saying he can magically fix it, but how many people have the prestige of Tom Brady that can just call somebody and say, hey, let's work this out. I've got a plan. Let's make it happen. That by itself, let's assume, for sake of argument, let's assume Tom Brady's going to be a terrible executive. Just for sake of argument. Just those things I mentioned by itself has substantial value to what he can bring to this organization.
That's what I was saying last week when we were talking about Maxx Crosby, not there's not too many things that can't be fixed over some conversation. And I think that with the influence, and the prestige that Tom Brady brings to anything that he touches, just sitting down and saying, we're going to fix this. I understand what you've been going through. And I kind of went over the scenario a little bit of what you can, in short form, what you can tell Maxx Crosby to kind of get him to be okay with the direction that the franchise is going. Mm-hmm. The more stability you have towards the top, the more the better off you are as a franchise. And there's been a lot of instability at the top because, Mark Davis, he even said himself, he's not making the football decisions, but he's hired a bunch of different people to make those decisions over the last few years. So him kind of putting someone in place that he's not going to be able to fire because the guy's an owner, right? Mm-hmm. And just stepping back from that, it's gonna bring a lot of stability. And I think we just get over this whole, well, no, I don't want him a part of my team and Brady and this and that, blah, blah, blah. It's just get over it, man. It is what it is. It's a good thing.
I'm getting over it. I'm getting over it faster than I thought. It was so weird.
It's petty nonsense, dude. The guy already freaking gave a middle finger to the freaking Patriots and won a Super Bowl somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Like, it just get over it, man. Just get over it. If he
brain over heart, I'm trying. I'll get there.
Yeah, if he can help make us better and make the organization more stable, I think it's definitely a win for us to go in that direction.
Circling back to Trask on one more thing, we got a lot to get to today. Randomly for a season that's already over, basically. When she was talking about, hey, I'm with you. I think it was a little political. She doesn't want to make it sound like Mark Davis is just going to be Tom Brady's bitch, or that like everyone else in that front office doesn't matter anymore. Like, Trask knows what she's doing. But when she said it'll be a collaborative effort, I do believe that Tom Brady, right, by all accounts we've ever seen, is the ultimate teammate. Like, he let Antonio Insane Monster Brown live in his house with his wife and kids there. He's like, whatever it takes to make this insanely good wide receiver somewhat stable, I will do. You ask anyone who's ever played with him, it's like he was a teammate, man. Like, he knew how to make people feel important and get the best out of them. You can be the czar, you can be the dictator, you can be the president, you can be whatever over anything and still make people. But if you're not a good leader, you're not get the best out of everybody. So I still believe that Mark Davis is going to hand the keys to the castle to Tom Brady if he wants it. But Tom Brady's just way too experienced as a leader to be like, all right, guys, I'm in charge now. You do this, you do that. Fuck y'all. We're going to do this. All right. I want my corner office to look like that. Like, he's too experienced as a leader to know you're not going to get anything done that way. So I believe it will be a collaborative effort. I believe he will take people around him seriously who offer advice and scouting reports. And I think he will genuinely make them feel important. But make no mistake. What Tom Brady wants is what's going to happen, because that's what Mark Davis wants.
Yeah, and I think that kind of tagging along what you were saying, he's not going to be this guy that's going to come in and just say, this is what I want. It's like, okay, give me the information so I can make a decision type of thing. And that information has to come from a lot of different places, a lot of different people. So just the fact that we're going to be headed in one direction, because it's the last thing we want is to just get rid of Telesco, get rid of AP. It's like, one or the other. Like, you don't want to get rid of Telesco. He just started rebuilding the team. We just got a lot younger. It's like, that more than anything really set the team back a lot. And I think that's mostly what Maxx Crosby was upset about. I don't know that he's going to be so upset about what the coaches leaving and stuff. I think it's more the teammates and the change of direction as far as the roster goes. Because anytime someone wants to take over, they want to put their own players in place. And even though a lot of the mouth work was that Ziegler was in charge, it was basically, Josh McDaniels was in charge, and he wanted all his own guys. And we saw that's why we got older overnight. That's when Gruden took over this last time. That was a youth movement there too. He wanted to get younger, and then as soon as Josh McDaniels came in, there we got old right away. And it's it's that more than anything. It's just the change in philosophies is what really kind of makes big sweeping changes on the roster. And I know that they're going to do their best to keep the players that we've pretty much groomed from being young rookies to who they are now. We got a lot of what was it, 25 first or second year players on the team. Got a lot of young players on the team, and a lot of players that are producing.
I'm gonna be honest, Soto. I didn't hear a single word you said after you said mouth work. I took everything in my power not to giggle at you. You're getting a better broadcaster. Be able to sneak in a sweet line like mouth work and not crack a smile. You had me going.
I'm a professional.
Mouth work. That's how my wife got pregnant. Brian Rodriguez. Thanks for the super chat. Much appreciated. Any players in the college football playoffs have impressed you?
Pretty much everyone on the freaking Ohio State offense. They're what is it? Henderson and Judkins, they're two running backs. Those guys are both freaking. They look like studs. I gotta watch some more tape on those guys. I mean, Jeremiah Smith is a freaking stud, but he's just a freshman. But he's the man.
I'm getting a Cam Scatterboot tattoo.
What's that?
I'm getting a Cam Scatterboot tattoo, dude.
Him, yeah.
That guy, he passed for a touchdown, rushed for a touchdown, 2-point conversion, and he got suplexed for a touchdown. You see this guard on his second touchdown rush? They're like, oh man, how did he get past those 3 defensive tackles? Because this guard grabbed him from behind and suplexed him over the goal line. And he just jumped with it. He's like, God, he was great, man.
The receiver Egbuka from Ohio State, I think he's like a junior or he's a senior ready to come out. Scatterboo was I mean, you saw a lot of Genty, even though they in a loss. You saw some of the explosion and a lot of the good vision. Quarterback play. I mean, Drew Aller had a nice game. He had a few long touchdown passes dropped. Actually, you could have had a lot better stat line. I know the overall.
He's staying in college.
Great. Was that?
He's staying. Aller's staying in college.
He might. Yeah, probably.
Milroe declared today.
Milroe declared today.
I take him in the second.
Played good for Ohio State.
Take Miller on the second.
Was that?
Would you take Miller on the second?
He'll probably go he'll probably be something like a Lamar Jackson draft. Either he'll be in the early second round or someone will straight into the first back to see if to
get that 5th-year option.
I mean the Abdul is all that he was hyped up to be at Penn State. That dude was all over the freaking place. I mean, Will Graham from freaking Michigan, like these players that are up there, they're up there for a reason. They balled out, man. And there's a lot of good, young, just explosive players. And I think that's what we're going to be looking for more than anything is in this youth movement that we have right now. You take a look at all the young players that you see out there that we have playing on our team. It's all about explosion. It's all about being explosive, about being dynamic. And that was a stark change from when Gruden first got in and he wanted his own guys there. He's like, oh, we're not going to win with these guys. We won 4 games my first season, or 3 games his first season. And then he wanted to get younger. And then Josh McDaniels comes in and brings in all his old guys. And it's like, nope, that's not going to win in the NFL anymore. You need explosive players to make explosive plays. And the young guys that are in are now, you see those guys making a lot of good plays. So that's what I think we're going to go for right now. I saw Jackson Dart reference here. Jackson Dart.
Edgar Bonilla, thank you so much for the super chat. What are the pros and cons of Jackson Dart?
Jackson Dart's got a good arm, man. He's got a good live arm. I wouldn't say it's like an elite, like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes type arm, but it's really, really good. Yeah, he's got a really good arm. He can throw from different arm angles. I saw him when he played at SC. He started a handful of games at SC, and he's a lot more mobile than you might think. He's a decent sized kid. He's about 6'1", 6'2", 220-ish around there. So he's a decent sized kid.
6'2", 225 is official listing.
Was that?
6'2", 225 is official.
Okay, that's about right.
Size.
And he looks it. He's a decent sized kid. I think his decision making gets him into trouble. I think that he he has a little bit too much. He's got a little bit too much young Josh Allen in him, where he thinks he's a little bit bigger than he is. He's not Josh Allen. He's not 6'4", 240. He doesn't have the arm. He's trying to fit it in. When he gets in trouble is when he kind of like, just trying to plays above himself and tries to make plays that aren't there. And I mean, nothing that good coaching won't solve. And it just needs him to buy into it a little bit. He's a little bit too much gunslinger right now. And he doesn't have like the Brett Favre arm to be like an elite effective gunslinger. He doesn't have that tool, but it's a very good arm, but it's just not quite.
Not gonna get you out of all the trouble arm, like,
yeah. I mean, he has enough arm to get himself into trouble.
He is also only 21 too. So I think the jury's still a little bit.
I like him a lot though. I like him a lot. I think that if we pick him up like in the 3rd round, I think that'd be a great pickup for us for one of our 3rd round picks. He's gonna take some time to learn. It's not gonna be like the Bo Nixes of the world or those guys who have played a ton of ball and started 60 starts and all this. He's not that yet. He needs some time to kind of mature a little bit. And but he has some good tools, man. I mean, he's a lot more mobile than you might think, and he doesn't move to run. He moves to hurt you down the field. And he's in that offense, man. He was coached really well. I mean, Charlie Weiss's kid, I think, is the offensive coordinator there at Ole Miss, or the quarterback coach, something like that. And he's been coached up pretty well there, and they had a nice season. They put up some points, and he's a good player, man. He's a good player. I just, the thing that makes him kind of like a draftable special, keep your eye on this kid type of thing, is the plays that he does make when things break down. But that's exactly what also gets him in trouble.
I see a lot of Quinn Ewers real quickly in the comments. This is the thing with Ewers. He's on like maybe the most talented team in football. Like the University of Texas is just like an embarrassment of riches. And so like I see him like good decision maker, right? Like I really like him pre-snap. Like you can tell he's been well coached. But dude, he had just in like this last play game, like he had all day to throw every single play. And he still missed a lot of balls. You know what I mean? It's like he had like there was a zero blitz that came at him, right? Man to man. Everyone got picked up. He still like 4 or 5 seconds with like a full, just like, and credit to him. I think he saw it, called max protect, shifted the line over. So he's smart and well coached. But dude, he just has so much time and he's on such a good team. And that line plays so lights out. And when he had everything going for him, he still missed a little bit. So it's like, look, I'm not throw him away, but it's just kind of like everything's right for him in that system.
As far as arm talent goes, you're not going to get much better. All right. This dude's got a freaking nice arm. And the thing that like what you're saying, it's hard to evaluate him because he has so many just amazing players around him. Everywhere you look, he's got everything players on the offense, all up and down the offensive line, his tight end, the receivers, the backs, everything that he has is just top notch. The freaking team is fully stacked. So when you see him back there making some tough decisions, when he has 4 or 5 seconds to throw the ball, it kind of like takes a little bit of the shine off of him a little bit. So that's why we're going to have to take a look at him during the draft process. And how his decision making is, how his retention is, stuff like that. As far as arm talent goes, there's not a better arm in the draft. But it's not all about how strong your arm is.
So the one bright spot of this season, and we got guilty of being already kind of spoiled by Brock Bowers. It's so weird. Like he's like a rookie still, but like 3/4 of the way through the season, you're like, oh, he's so amazing. We like didn't talk about him for a few shows because we're just so used to him being amazing. It's like when you're married and your wife makes an amazing dinner every single time you come home from work. Like you realize it, but you take it for granted, right? We're not gonna take Brock Bowers for granted. He's all pro. Pro Bowl voting came out. Maxx Crosby still came in as an alternate despite being injured for a good chunk of the season. And
you mean they're Pro Bowlers, right? They're not all pros.
Pro Bowl. What did I say? All pro?
All pro.
Yeah. Pro Bowler.
You even put it in the rundown as all pro.
That's probably why I said it wrong. So he's got the all-time record for receptions for the Raiders, receiving record for rookie, yardage record for rookie. Now he's all pro. All
Pro
that's
Bowler.
left. Pro Bowler. God damn it.
God damn it.
All that's left is offensive rookie of the year. And that's not going to happen the way that Jay Daniels has been playing. But I still want to say that there's a world where he gets it. And that's the one piece of hardware this year that's kind of eluding him. He can still break some more records on Sunday.
He needs 8 receptions to get the tight end overall tight end record.
There's still a couple of things within play. So hopefully he keeps stacking those records, because I want to give him all the flowers. He needs to get all the flowers.
He needs to get all the recognition that he deserves. Hang on a second. Is that Big Trouble Little China?
Have you paid your dues? Yes, sir. Check is. Hey, we do the movie quotes on here, Louis Garcia.
That's Big Trouble Little China, I think.
This is our show.
That's one of my favorite movies when I was a little kid, dude.
Big Trouble Little China.
My cousin George came over one day, and he left the VHS tape at my house. So I watched that shit like over and over and over.
Did you see the Pro Bowl fan voting?
Yeah, I looked at it a little bit.
Travis Kelce got more than anybody. You're like, these goddamn Swifties. People are like, oh, I don't understand why you don't like Taylor Swift, being a fan. It's like, do you watch football? Do you know the Chiefs? Have you seen what goes on? Do you understand sports? Come on. Very easy. It's very easy to hate on Taylor Swift. Because now you got he's not even first team. He's like an alternate under Brock Bowers in the AFC under tight end. We got number 1 in fan voting because of the Swifties. Ridiculous. We need Brock Bowers to start banging Beyonce or something. Who's the second most famous female musician in the world right now?
She's the most famous with me.
Taylor Swift's obviously number 1. I get it. I understand. Whatever.
Woo!
Beyonce too.
Woo! Ding, ding,
yeah.
ding.
Ding ding ding. You're forgiven once, Louis. You won forgiveness. So speaking of quarterbacks, the Vikings situation is being watched by everybody who doesn't have a quarterback.
Bro, we were on this a few months ago. I think I brought it up about Sam Darnold having this type of year. This was like a couple of months ago. We started, well, what are they going to do with JJ McCarthy? Jump off that bridge when we come to it. Well, that bridge is in sight.
We need a sound clip for every time you pat yourself on the back for being right about something. What was the pro wrestler that did that? He had the handprint on his back.
Well, that was
you're the pro wrestling guy.
Barry Horowitz.
Barry Horowitz. We gotta do like
he was a Jewish dude, and he had a.
Did he have a catchphrase?
No.
Oh.
No, he didn't really do any. He was like a jobber. Like he would just lose to everybody.
He would just give people a reason to be anti-Semitic.
Skip from the Body Donnas.
Okay,
that was like his first win on TV in like years.
You do the Barry Horowitz pat on the back. We got to do a sound for that.
They would call him Barry Horriblewitz because he would always lose.
So Adam Schefter addresses trade rumors about JJ McCarthy. Here's what he said on ESPN's Unsportsmanlike. In a limited quarterback draft class where there are far more teams that need quarterbacks than quarterbacks who can actually step in right away, I definitely think teams will be checking in with the Vikings to see if they have anything interesting in trading JJ McCarthy. Now, they may say they don't, and that's the end of it, but I do think teams will explore that option, of course. Absolutely, 100%, because JJ McCarthy would have been a top, if not the top quarterback prospect in this draft. The Vikings decided they want to trade him, which I don't know that they will. I believe they would get back everything they put into him and then some. It would be a first-round pick and then some. So they may be the number 1 seed in the NFC. This Sunday night game's gonna be insane. Vikings and Lions. Like when we do our post-game show, we might have to cut it short because I want to watch that game.
I do want to watch that game.
That's an awesome game. It's Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy. I don't see a universe where they keep both because both of them are so valuable. right? So Sam Darnold, 1-year deal. They're not going to let him disappear. They'll either sign a long-term extension with him or franchise tag him and trade him because they'll get a lot of value for him. JJ McCarthy, if you don't know his history, 10th overall, got injured in the actual preseason game or even like practice?
Against us. No, against us. We knocked him out of the game.
We broke him.
Me up.
So we never got to see, no one knows what's going on with JJ McCarthy. But 10th overall last season would have probably made you first overall this season at quarterback, at least according to Schefter, I think a lot of other people. So I think depending on how this postseason goes, if they the Vikings win the Super Bowl, right? Or even go to the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold and he keeps playing well, you can't move on from him. And why would Sam Darnold want to? He would get paid. He'd for sure get, he's like, hey, I'm a Super Bowl quarterback now, goes right here. But he'd want to stay there under Kevin O'Connell. So, and with Kevin McCarthy, you've got at least a first-round pick, if not more, probably more. It would take more than probably a first-rounder to get JJ McCarthy. So, depending on the way things go, it looks like they'll most likely keep Sam and move on from JJ. I don't know. First off, do you see a world where they keep both? Because I don't.
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay.
Yes. I think that if I'm the Vikings, I try my hardest to do a short-term deal with Sam Darnold to watch him do it again. Now that teams have a little more tape on him and this and that. Okay, let's watch him. Let's watch this resurgence happen in second year. Then we can talk about, because they don't know what they have in JJ McCarthy yet because he's been hurt. It will be a different story if JJ McCarthy is practicing as well, but he's not. He's had a torn knee. So that's the little bit of a sticking point that we have here. Because if JJ McCarthy goes into that Kevin O'Connell system and looks just as good, then okay, then Sam Darnold can go because he's going to be more expensive. And you still have JJ McCarthy under that long 5-year rookie contract. So that's the sticking point right now is what is JJ McCarthy actually? And I mean, of course, he was a high pick and blah 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 and this and that. But if you're the Vikings, you want to see them together for an extended period of time to see if it's more so the quarterback or the system, or is it a combination of the two? But if I'm the Vikings, I try to do my best to keep them both.
I think you of course want to have both, but that's just so much value in JJ McCarthy. If you can get a first and a second for him, there's talks of that. And every year, obviously, his value goes down because his rookie contract keeps going down. And it's not like Sam Darnold is some 33-year-old veteran who's only giving you he's 27. You know what I mean? So he can, and he's proven. That's the big thing. Right? What do we always talk about with the rookie with rookie draft quarterbacks? It's a 50-50 shot. No one has a winning formula. No one knows. No one's proven to be able to pick the right guy. This guy will exactly fit here. It just doesn't happen. So if you can get a first and a second for your guy and you have Sam Darnold, I'm with you 100%. I get it. You're in an enviable position if you're the Vikings where you have a 10th overall. There'll be a second-year player next season, a Sam Darnold that you have first rights to, who probably doesn't want to leave. Still got to pay him, but Sam Darnold would be a moron if he's just no, I want out of here. Give me the highest bidder. Kevin O'Connell revitalized his life, right?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say be a moron if he gets a long-term deal and gets paid. I wouldn't necessarily say that's a dumb thing, but there's pluses and minuses with each guy. You know that Sam Darnold can work within this system because he's in it and he's 14-2. Okay. He's going to be more expensive. He's only shown it for 1 year. He's been fairly durable. It's just you haven't seen it very long for to make that long of a commitment. That's why when you have a rookie quarterback coming in, you see him do it over a couple of years, and you see that progression over a couple of years. So then you can feel a little bit more comfortable in paying the guy because he's giving you a bigger body of work. Very similar to what happened with Baker last season is after he went out there and did really well, they had to pay him or else he would have left. Mm-hmm. So that's why I don't think that Darnold would be an idiot going somewhere else, because Baker would have gone somewhere else too if they paid him more money. But Tampa Bay decided to pay him. Okay, that's fine. I'm not saying that's good or bad or whatever. They did it, and I'm perfectly fine with it. Same thing with the Vikings. If the Vikings want to pay Sam Darnold, I'm perfectly fine with it but you're only going to be able to do this for 1 year. You're only going to be able to keep them both for 1 year because you're not going to pay the way that the contract looks now, the Kirk Cousins contract looks now. It's a lot of funny money kind of built into it, right?
It's 4 years, but it's basically two.
It's basically two,
plus,
right? So it's like
monopoly money.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I understand why they went with Penix and drafted him. I get it, right? But Cousins is like 10 years older, right? Mm-hmm. So I understand the situation that the Vikings are in. I do see a realistic scenario where they keep both guys for 1 year. The quarterback draft class should be a little bit stronger, but not too much stronger than this year. I think a lot of people are sleeping on some of the players that are in this year's draft. But if you take a look at McCarthy's on par with Cam Ward, with Shedeur Sanders as far as the prospect goes. Not to say they're going to be the same as pros, but coming out of college, they're about the same. So, I mean, I understand that that Schefter kind of covered his bases by saying on par, if not better. Yeah, of course, they're pretty much the same guy. Everyone that I've talked to and seen and all the grades and stuff have them right. The two guys this year right behind Bo Nix in that kind of 4 or 5 range of prospects.
See, this is where you think like a coach and I think like a GM. So I'm just like, dude, we have 2 amazing, valuable assets and only one can play at a time. And they're both young and they both can be our future. It's like, let's start filling the piggy bank, right? Let's trade JJ who's sitting on the bench.
Very hasty, man. It's very hasty
to move on.
When you're not convinced that Sam Darnold, not only that Sam Darnold can continue to do it long term, but that JJ McCarthy can't. If JJ McCarthy can do the same job that Sam Darnold does, then you get rid of Sam Darnold because JJ McCarthy is under control for longer and cheaper.
There's like a 50-50 shot that JJ can do that, where Sam has already proven that he can.
He's proven it for one season.
Yeah, he's 16 games. He's won 14.
Proven it for one season. That's what fantastic. I'm saying. That's not necessarily thinking that's not necessarily thinking like a GM. That's being a little bit more impulsive.
You have assets that are deteriorating. What's the name of the GM at I can never pronounce his name. Quezi Dofo, something like that. Like the GM at the Vikings. Quezi something. Anyway, if I have assets and they're deteriorating, I want to return on that when one of them can't do anything. I get the coaching idea. It's like, let's be 100% sure, or let's be even more positive. And that's like, I think that's a luxury. I think that's a luxury when you've got so many quarterback desperate teams like us and a half dozen others. And there's maybe 2 believable prospects in this draft that are probably going to be gone in the top 3. And you've got a tradable rookie contract, national champion, 10th overall quarterback. There's going to be people busting down the door for his services. And it's going to be really hard to say no to those offers. And I don't want to put it out there to make him sound more and more expensive because we want him, but it's the truth. It's really the truth.
I think that what you're missing in your evaluation is the value of a quarterback, and that in a year from now, maybe not as many teams would want to give you as much, but there'll still be a couple. You'll still be able to get that same haul, but maybe not from as many teams. You can't pit as many teams against one another in next season as you could this season. So, but it's a quarterback. It's a first-round quarterback. It's a young guy still under control. I think he's still got a good haul next season if you wait.
And also they got to your point, well, as I guess a counter to your point is they got to get Sam Darnold convinced to just do a deal where that's a possibility, right? Sam Darnold's like, no, man, I'm 27. I just took you to the Super Bowl. I want $50 million a year, 5 years, 70% of that guaranteed, like every other quarterback that's been to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So you'd have to have the same mentality that you do, Soto, and have Sam Darnold's contract play ball. Which, I mean, if they win the Super Bowl, which is very realistic, man, they could be the number 1 seed in the NFC and go and win the Super Bowl. Sam Darnold's going to have so much leverage over that organization, so much. I'd love to have JJ McCarthy. So Sunday's game, week 18's finally here. We wanted it so bad in the offseason. Couldn't wait. Regular football on. And now it's over. We're kind of like, okay, I'm ready for the draft. It's just been one of those seasons. Raiders versus Chargers. Chargers 5-point favorites. As of now, the Chargers have something to play for because that 5 seed is still in play to be the top wild card spot, right? Unfortunately for us, because we want the Chargers to play, I'm not rooting for a loss, but it's, where we're at now anyway. If the Steelers lose to the Bengals on Saturday, then the Bengals are the 5 seed and our game's irrelevant when it comes to seeding. It's irrelevant. If the Steelers win, then the Chargers can get the 5th seed with a win. If they lose, they drop to like less than 1% of a chance to be the 5 seed. And it's a huge deal because if you're the 5 seed, you go to Houston. If the Chargers fall, they go to Baltimore. I don't think anyone wants to go to Baltimore, right? So they got a ton to play for on Sunday if Saturday goes correctly. Because and especially with like the Broncos, they're in that's the playoffs basically set. The Broncos just have to beat the Chiefs, who are resting everybody, and then they're the 7 seed. In the rare instance they lose, then like kind of Miami's kind of floating around. Cincy's still kind of floating around. A lot has to happen for Cincy to go, including that they have to win. Basically, we know what the AFC playoffs are, except that 5th seed is still up for grabs, and the last game's gonna come down to Chargers Raiders Saturday or Sunday. So there's stuff to play for on Sunday.
Yeah, and we've already heard about a lot of the coaches talking about sitting guys and resting guys and all this stuff. It's just not really that possible, especially when you're making a playoff run. We're definitely going to get up their best shot for the entire game. Don't know, but definitely we're gonna see some starters.
And it's our well, do you think we'll see starters if Steelers win and the Chargers have nothing to play for? Just to keep them active. Harbaugh seems like a guy that's going to
maybe for
he's
for
old
a
school.
little bit. Yeah, he's old school guy. Yeah, just to keep everyone sharp.
Mm-hmm. I think the Raiders too. I think this is the last chance. Like when there's these losing seasons, and this whole like ending on a high note, right? We got a 2-game win streak. If we can, beat the Chargers and keep them from getting the 5th seed to close out the season, like that's something to play for, right? Like we've been really harsh on AP, and I think very correctly so. But in fairness, he does keep guys motivated, and that's easy billboard material, right? Hey, they beat us earlier, conference rival, division rival. Let's knock them out of that 5th seed and send them crying to Baltimore to have Derrick Henry run right up their asses and Lamar Jackson throw over their heads. I think there's that part of it. But it's also like it's the last resume stamper for everyone on that team and everyone on that staff. We talked about earlier with Tom Brady coming in, God knows what's going to happen. Is he going to revamp everything? Slight tweaks. We obviously need a new offensive coordinator, obviously a new quarterbacks coach, new O-line coach. AP's probably gone. All these players that they brought in, are they now like they have to be like, hey, I need to look good for me, regardless of how this season went. I think we'll get a great effort. I know that's not very, very positive talking about a football team. I think we're gonna get stomped by the Chargers, but I think we'll see great effort for all the reasons I brought up.
Well, yeah, both teams are going to want to bring it. It's a division game. It's a rivalry game. They're going to want to bring it. There's going to be a lot involved, man. I mean, this is going to be a team that has something to play for. The last 2 teams that we beat didn't have anything to play for. Mm-hmm. Backup quarterbacks. A lot of people heard these is going to be a team that's primed for the playoffs. Let's see how they look against them. we talked about it. I mean, before this even started, there's a kind of a worry about the 5-4 record that AP was able to get to end the season, because he played a lot of backup quarterbacks. He got a lot of fluky things that went his way, a lot of things that we were doing offensively that teams that do that don't normally, have good records.
Mhm.
So a lot of that stuff came out in the wash this season. And you beat two teams that are like down in the dumps, and backups left and right all over the place. So let's see against a team that actually has their shit together and has their players there and who's making a playoff run. We'll see how that works out, because I just don't want us to get snowed again by a lot of these, I don't want to say cheaper wins, but wins that don't amount to as much because of the competition we're playing against.
So we're currently 8th, according to Tankathon in draft order. The absolute worst we can go is 10th. So, like a win's not going to overly screw us, New England has a really tough. New England's got they got someone amazing. They're going to lose. Cleveland's going to lose. Giants will lose. It's actually just these four win teams anyway that matter. Jets, Carolina, Jacksonville. Who do they have? Jets, Carolina, and Jacksonville. Jacksonville has the Colts. They could win that one.
Dude, the Colts are a freaking mess.
The Titans have Texans. Carolina and Jets. Panthers got the Falcons. They're a mess.
They're a mess too.
Jets got the Dolphins, and they're playing for something. Dolphins are playing for maybe getting into the playoffs if things go exactly their way. So we're looking at probably an 8-10. With a loss, maybe we'll drop 1 or 2. Maybe we'll move up maybe 1 or 2 with the loss. At worst, we'll get to 10. So just root for a win. Root for a win, guys. Yeah, even the tankers out there, root for a win.
If you're not in the top 2 or 3, you're not going to get a quarterback. I don't care where you are. So you might as well just go out there and root for a win. And I don't think that this win is going to make a huge difference in any of the decision makers' minds as far as who's going to coach next season. And there's just been too many mistakes, man. Too many mistakes, too long to correct those mistakes. And just not enough development from AP as a coach, unfortunately for him. We said it, you said it, we all said it. This was the only head coaching job he was going to get. He wasn't going to get a head coaching job anywhere else. So, he needs a little bit more work. He needs a little bit more seasoning.
Grandmaster JRA, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. Antonio Pierce choosing Mid-Chew. I hope that wasn't a typo. I hope you nicknamed him Mid-Chew. Like he's got Chaw in his mouth. Over AOC. Didn't help his development this year either. Happy New Year's, brothers. Happy New Year, Grandmaster.
Yeah, that's one of the big mistakes, man.
Yeah. We were both wrong. You thought it was Minshew. I thought they were the same. It's clear Farva was better than Minshew. I mean, it was very, very clear that either the system or just better in general or
the issue too that we're seeing is it took him so long to make the change.
Mm-hmm.
It took him so long to make that change, and it's like, dude, I get it, but is Gardner Minshew really the hill you want to die on?
Mm-hmm.
And there were a few games that were very winnable games that we would have been in a lot better position had we played Farva without all those turnovers that Minshew had. And that's part of coaching, man, knowing when to make the switch.
This is another part too. I was thinking about this. And again, do not go into next season thinking Farva's the starter. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think that maybe we don't know exactly the ceiling of Favre yet, because I'm thinking of how like Favre outplayed Jimmy Garoppolo in the same system. He outplayed Gardner Minshew in the same system. Like he's been the best Raider quarterback since he's been a Raider. And yeah, the system's been bad and it's been 4 different play callers and the offensive line's been terrible. No running game, blah, 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 blah. But you look at the best that those quarterbacks have played elsewhere, you got to feel like Favre is better than that. And again, there's a lot of moving parts, right? System, all that kind of stuff. But if he played better than all of them in the sewer of Josh McDaniels, the crap of Getsy, and he still rose above all these other quarterbacks. None of them have been amazing. But if he's better than all these guys with no real starting time, 4 different play callers halfway through his second season, then maybe there's hope that he could be better than we all hoped. Again, don't bank on it. I'm not saying make him QB1, not at all. I'm just saying I think the ceiling for Minshew or the ceiling for O'Connell is still murky, even if we both kind of agree that his physical traits will keep him from excelling over the top. I think there's enough moving parts where I'm still keeping an eye on his development.
Well, I mean, I'll say it. If we don't get one of the top 2 quarterbacks, if we end up drafting a quarterback and not getting one in free agency that has a lot of starting experience, I think Aiden O'Connell will be our starter next season. I don't know that anyone outside of the top 2 guys will be ready to take over an NFL team next season. I think that there are some interesting people out there. You know, there's some guys that have some good traits. I wouldn't say anyone has any elite traits other than Jalen Milroe's running ability. I think he has elite running ability, but I don't think anyone else has an elite trait where they can come in right away and they can build something around that trait that they have or traits that they have. So if you end up, let's say, for example, I see Will Howard on there on here a lot, or, you know, Jackson Dart or whatever. If we go that route, I believe AOC will be our starter next season. I think, I mean, look, if you put, let's say, like a T-Mac, the receiver from Arizona, if you get him and you put him alongside Bowers and Mayer and Myers, that's a pretty damn good group to be throwing to. And I think that'll help any quarterback out. Will it make Aiden O'Connell look better? Sure. You know, you got a 6'5", receiver who can jump, out of the stadium, and Mr. Freaking, they're 80-20 balls with him. They're not 50-50 balls.
Yeah.
And he's still a really good route runner. He's got good hands, doesn't drop passes. So, yeah, he's going to be a player that would make your quarterback look better because you can do more things with them and you can take some more chances with them and stuff like that. So I can definitely see a realistic possibility where the brass looks and says, look, I don't want to trade any assets away. I want to put money in these areas instead. We have a capable quarterback who could hold the fort down while we find somebody. If we don't find somebody who's better, he can hold the fort down and he can win some games for us. Okay, I see that. Fine. Is that optimal? No, you want to have a younger quarterback who has better traits, who can come in right away, but it's not an awful situation to be in, because in that scenario, you wouldn't be using one of your top 1 or 2 picks, maybe even a third, maybe your second, third round pick that you got from the Jets. You could use those picks, right? You still have a first, second, and third round pick to, give yourself maybe a defensive stud, some offensive line help, a weapon, running back, whatever, to bolster your team. And you're still really young, so you can see a lot of guys that are, come back next season and be even better. The thing that you take a look at here is, what are the holes that you want to plug? What are the holes that need to be filled up first? I think that it's the interior of your offensive line. And Parham, I think by comparison, looks so much worse than Jackson Powers Johnson. Mm-hmm. And I think we've seen what an actual interior mauler looks like. And we're like, yes, we want another one of those. Because you ask anybody in Raider Nation, do you want to draft another Jackson Powers Johnson, or do you want to draft another Dylan Parham? I think to a man or woman, however you identify, will say they want another Jackson Powers Johnson, right? And I don't know, man. I think that if we do that, I think that this team can look much different next season, even with Aiden O'Connell there. I think we said it coming out of college for Aiden O'Connell that his strength in his game is in between his ears, and I think we're seeing that he's finally putting it all together, where he's moving around a little bit and making plays down the field. Like that touchdown pass to Tucker, that was him buying time, moving around and identifying and finding a guy and throwing a pinpoint pass. Those are things that we didn't see from him previously. He would just run around and be like, oh shit, and running around and like that dude from Necessary Roughness. Blow the whistle. Like he wouldn't run with any type of plan in mind. I think that everything's starting to slow down for him a little bit now, which is great. And I wish the best for him because he's on our team and I want him to be at his best. I just don't see that. I don't see that ceiling being as high for us to be able to, like, in December, we have 3 playoff teams in a row, 2 of them on the road. We got to win. Can we strap everything on his back and win? I just don't see that from him consistently. And that's what we're looking for in a quarterback, to be able to win these games in bad weather, on the road, in playoff time. We need a guy that has a little bit more higher end traits than Aiden O'Connell, even though the strongest trait that he has is really good, which is his head, his mental. Yeah, not his dick. Mustache. But that's the main thing. And it's what's holding him back. Unfortunately, he really can't do much about that. His physical tools are his physical tools at this point in his life. He's like, what, 25, not 26?
He's old, man.
Yeah, he's almost as old as Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has like 2 or 3 years on him.
26.
Yeah, he's older. He's an older dude already. So he's not going to make these big leaps and jumps, because you see the guys that make
like
those
18 months younger than Gardner Minshew. Minshew's been in the league like 7 years.
6 years. So that's the thing, man. It's like you see these guys like Baker and Geno and Sam Darnold making these jumps later in their career. Well, they had the traits when they were younger. They had the high-end traits. They always had high-end traits. Just took them to put it all together. Aiden O'Connell has never had all these high-end physical traits. It's going to be a lot more difficult for him to do that. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a lot more difficult for him to do that. I still say he's a good bridge quarterback to put out there, because he knows the system. He's not going to make too many mistakes. Once he's comfortable, you get him some good players around him, and you put a better situation out there for the quarterback who does have those high-end traits.
Grandmaster JRA, thank you for the super chat. When you get Ashton Genty? LOL.
No, I don't see it. I wouldn't do it in the first round. There's too many. The running back is freaking stacked.
Loaded.
There's Hampton. There's Caleb Johnson. There's the dude from Oklahoma State. I forgot his name. Raleigh, I think. There's 2 guys from Ohio State. There's 2 guys from Penn State that are thugs. There's Scadaboo from Arizona. Dude, there's so many running backs. I mean, good running backs. There's a dude from Rutgers that I saw play this year. It was really good. There's a lot of good running backs in this draft that you can get 3rd, 4th round-ish that are going to be really good backs for you. I don't know that some of the higher-end ones make it out of the 2nd round, but yeah.
Also, he's my size. Genty.
Yeah, like, Ollie Gordon. Yeah, that dude is. There's 2 guys from Penn State. That are really good.
Raider Rich, thank you for the super chat. Let's stop trying to make AOC better. I mean, look, guys, he's a Raider. You want him to be better. Of course you want him to be better. It's just a matter of being realistic about what his potential is. And everything about him is that Soto talked about is true about his physical limitations. Like that's why those are so highly coveted by scouts. The 2 big things, right? What you can do with your legs and arm strength, because you can't coach that. And what do they always say in sports? What are the 2 things you can't coach? Speed and heart, right? So if you got speed, like we can work around that, right? If you're kind of a pussy, you got no heart, you're not trying to build that in you. But with quarterbacks, what can you do with your legs and what can you do with your arm? Either God sprinkled that pixie dust on you or he didn't. You can improve stuff. Like there's a lot of there's amazing things you can do with that amazing training facility in Las Vegas. And we're seeing it work with Aiden O'Connell. He's moving better this season than he did last season. That's a fact, right? It can improve. Can improve drastically, can he improve drastically? There's a hard ceiling there. But he has been an absolutely disastrous offensive situation. 4 different play callers, 2 different head coaches. Josh McDaniels has proven to just get the worst out of every quarterback he's ever coached. And he's managed to rise above that and be a low-end starter, really, really high-end backup. And I think that's promising. But we want to make him better, but we're not banking on him. We're not saying, all right, we got our quarterback. We're good.
Oh, yeah, but he's not a bad option. He's not a bad option while you look for that guy because he's capable. He's just not that dude. I think Boogie said it best here. I want him to be better. I just don't know if he's going to be that guy for us. And I agree with that. I think we can win some games with him. I don't think we're going to be perennial conference champion, contenders or Super Bowl contenders with Aiden O'Connell. I think we can get better. I think with a little bit more attention, some better coaching, some more consistency, some better weapons around him, better protection. He can be much better than he is now. But there are going to be times that every single quarterback in the playoffs is going to have to make plays outside of what's designed. And that's not a strength of Aiden O'Connell, unfortunately. And dude, the guys on the other side of the ball get paid too. And those guys, those defensive coordinators, some of those grumpy old men just sit around and just find ways to freaking screw with you. And if you, as a quarterback, what are you going to do when the defense is exactly right? When they have all these studs left and right all over the place, littered across the defense, like these playoff teams do, and they're right. They pick the exact right thing to do. How are you going to make that play happen when you need it? It's got to be your physical tools. It's got to be your playmaking ability and your talent. And that's not where Aiden O'Connell excels.
You literally have to be Tom Brady to be a statue with medium arm talent and be a Super Bowl. You have to have the smartest brain in the universe with the best coaching staff and the best weapons. And you know what I mean? It's
and you also have to have a genius head coach who's a genius defensive coordinator who's not going to allow you to be fooled by other defenses.
Keep you in good situations.
You're always going to keep you in good situations.
It's okay. Again, look, it doesn't matter. Favre's going to be with us for the next at least 2 seasons, right? He's going to be here. We want him to get better. Of course we want him to get better. At worst case scenario, he's a great backup quarterback for us for a long time, which is, I think, at this point, most likely his future. And that's an important role. How many quarterbacks make it 17 games? How many teams had their quarterback play every single game this season? Backup quarterback, saying we have a really great backup quarterback, that's awesome. That's a big deal. That's
guys,
very
don't fool
important.
yourself. The 18th game is coming. The 18th game is coming. Okay.
DeMarcus Webb, no question, just shoving some dollar bills into our G-string. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, man. If you got a question, man, go ahead and shout it out. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you much. Edgar Bonilla, number 8, T-Mac, 2nd round, Caleb Johnson, 2nd round, Jackson Dart.
I think he meant 3rd round, Jackson Dart.
That's what I'm figuring.
Hey, man, I wouldn't be mad at it. Maybe we would sprinkle in an offensive lineman in the 3rd round with our 2nd, 3rd round pick as well. Mm-hmm. I think that'll be a pretty nice little haul for us. Defensively, if we sign our guys, right? If we sign our dudes and, hurry up and grab them.
Get them while they're hot. Spivvy's making his membership awards. Santa Claus is back a week after Christmas.
Get in there. Hurry up and grab them. Hurry up and grab them. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Spivey, for gifting 5 Autumn Windbags memberships. And make sure when you get those memberships to put them on auto pay, you cheap bastards, so you don't just get the free month. But look,
why can't memberships like that be like Netflix, where there's just like forces to keep you renewing before you don't even know?
Oh man, DeMarcus Webb, thanks, brother. I appreciate it, man. I really appreciate it,
Marcus.
So look,
we've already said everything that possibly could say, so he has no question.
We do T-Mac. If we do T-Mac first, and if it's Caleb Johnson, then great in the second. If it's one of the other really top end running backs in the second, great. And if we do like a Jackson Dart-ish type of guy who got some arm talent, who needs a little bit of work, and an offensive lineman, great, because that's the side of the ball that was killing us, was the offense. The defense didn't start killing us until everyone got hurt. And so you're missing most of your offensive line. You're missing your top or 2 of your 3 starting corners and one of your safeties. Like that's not until when the problem started happening is when we started losing a bunch of guys. We don't really need to draft a ton of guys to start on defense. If we bring back the guys, DCam Richardson showed us that he can be a starter in the NFL. I think he's shown us the last few weeks he's played a lot better. I think he's played much better the last couple of weeks, and I think he's going to be someone that we can build with. We bring Hobbs back. We have Bennett. We have Jones. That's a nice, solid crew of DBs. Then we have the safety situation. I think Isaiah Polamau has shown that you don't need to re-sign Epps for big money. I think you may put a little bit of money in the younger guy who has a little bit more dynamic play. Maybe draft one of these young guys. Like there's a guy his name is Tonka Hemingway. Such a great name. He's a defensive tackle. He's a freaking bull. His name is Tonka Hemingway. Great name. For the name alone.
Is he a fullback or a writer?
Just for his freaking name. Just for his name. But there's a couple of guys you can get in the middle rounds for the interior defensive line. You can always just backload on outside talent like receiver. There's the guy Nick Nash. He used to be a quarterback from San Jose State, broke a ton of records at San Jose State. He's another tall, fast, quick receiver, a guy you can get really late, like a developmental type of guy. But these are the type of guys you can get late. You're not going to really get a bunch of like stud offensive or defensive linemen late in the draft. How many 6'6", 300-pound guys who have like super quick and super great athletic ability do you see just walking around in freaking in life? You don't see those guys. You see 6 foot, 200-pound guys all over the place that are athletic. So you can get those guys later, but the studs you need to get a little bit earlier.
All right, it's over an hour. That's it for us. Another live show. We'll do another live show, obviously Sunday. Last post-game show of the season. We made it. We made it to the end.
I want to bring something up.
On IR. Bring it
up. You and I have talked about this. Half joking, half not. But I think in the offseason, right, Apollo? I think in the offseason, we should make this kind of a thing, especially on our live shows, if we do live shows. Okay. RJ and I have been talking about possibly putting up a menu of things that we would do for money. Not anything stupid and crazy and sexual, right? Cut it out. But like,
speak for yourself.
This much money and you okay. Boom, RJ. Here's $5. RJ has to shotgun a beer. Okay, and RJ shotguns a beer, and so $20 is a setup. You shotgun a beer and you take a double shot or whatever, just to make the off season fun, because it's going to be a long off season. It's pretty much been the off season for like a month already.
I kind of like Boogie's idea.
Okay, if you can get a wheel.
A wheel of misfortune?
Yeah.
Spinning wheel? Like on the UFC weigh-in show. Just a wheel where you just punishments, booze, the shocker.
I think we can do a digital one, right?
There's guaranteed there has to be a website that's just like you put the stuff in there, you click.
Hello.
A ZJ? What the hell's a ZJ? You don't know what it is?
Ask. You can't afford it.
Can't afford it. What movie's that from? Let us know in the comment section. Hint. Barba's in it. That's how you know the movie. All right, so think about it. Rummage it through your heads, guys. We'll take suggestions. Hit us up on social media or send us a note about ideas. I like the wheel idea. I like the menu of drinking idea. I am doing a dry January, so Soto will have to carry the show on his back at least until February 1st. Again. But we'll keep it fun. Make this offseason fun.
Stupid, okay? I'm not gonna do anything like physical and dumb. Like I'll take a drink. Because I don't drink. I'm gonna have to buy alcohol just for this.
Lord knows I drink. Lord knows.
Well, we know you do.
All right, boys. Thank you so much, especially all you super chatters out there. Much appreciated. We will see you guys on Sunday. Resolution.
RJ, you want to share one of your resolutions?
I have the same resolution this year as I have every year for the last probably 15 years. Just be less of an asshole. And it's taking 15 years for me to slowly and incrementally not change at all. You?
Let's see here. I want to be a little bit more disciplined. Just overall. I get by on talent a lot. I can't help it. I look good, I smell good, I could dance all night long. I can't help it. I think if I really just kind of buckle down, I have a lot of irons in the fire. I want to just buckle down on a couple of those. And I think if I can do that, it'll be a lot better for everyone.
Why can't you be more disciplined instead of so damn good looking, you know?
Bro, this beard is just putting just fucking butts in the seats, man.
What's on your face?
Dude, I'm telling you, homegirl is like, when are you going to shave it? I said, I'm not. We went to the store, and I'm telling you, freaking chicks were like bumping into us on purpose. Oh, excuse me. Like, oh, damn, okay, that's fine. Dude, she was getting heated.
I 100% believe that. We'll be back on Sunday, live for the last post-game show of the season. Don't miss it. And until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.